The acrid scent of smoke and the metallic tang of blood hang heavy over the ruins of a conquered world as Bardock stands amidst the devastation he helped create. His heavy boots crunch against pulverized remains, yet his gaze softens when he discovers King Vegeta, stripped of his crown and wounded, and the young Prince Vegeta, cowering in the shadows of a fallen palace. A flicker of uncharacteristic empathy stirs within his Saiyan heart. Instead of delivering a finishing blow to the weakened monarchy, he chooses to shield them from the ongoing slaughter. He feels a sudden, sharp disconnect from his role as a conqueror, realizing that the mindless destruction he has participated in for years has no true purpose. Bardock leads the two royal survivors through the tangled undergrowth to a secluded medical bay, where the elite warrior Tora keeps a lonely vigil. The air inside is thick with the aroma of medicinal fluids, as Bardock explains his intent to protect them from both his own kind and Frieza's personal executioners. He watches the fear in the young prince's wide eyes transition into a trembling, cautious curiosity, while Tora uses a portable med unit to mend Bardock's minor injuries. Tora's grim silence provides a stark contrast to the mindless violence Bardock has always known, planting a seed of doubt about their life under the tyrant. Under the eerie, pale glow of the planet's moons, Bardock sits in solitude. He has been plagued by a persistent, instinctual dread that the Saiyans are no longer useful to their master, and that a cold-blooded betrayal is imminent. The thought of a rebellion begins to take root, a daring plan to turn against the Frieza force. He knows the odds are astronomical, but the realization that his life has been spent slaughtering innocents fuels a newfound fire to do the exact opposite. The atmosphere becomes electric with tension as Bardock coordinates a high-stakes ambush with King Vegeta and Tora, knowing Frieza's elite guards are scouring the planet for the missing king. King Vegeta, though weakened, takes up a strategic position on the jagged mountain cliffs with a high-output energy blaster. Bardock crouches low in the tall grass, listening to the hum of scout ships overhead. When the enforcers finally arrive, Dodoria and a squad of elites move through the clearing with arrogant confidence. In a sudden, violent burst of speed, Bardock lunges from the shadows, his fist glowing with ki as he strikes a guard with lethal force. Simultaneously, a precise shot from King Vegeta's mountain vantage point pierces the armor of a lead scout. Zarbon, arriving moments later, is stunned by the sudden loss of his men. Zarbon recovers instantly, his aura flaring with terrifying energy. Bardock realizes his current strength is insufficient and feels the heat of his Saiyan blood boiling. Bardock exerts every ounce of his hidden potential to become full-power Bardock. He launches a relentless assault, a blur of motion trading devastating blows with Zarbon. Full-power Bardock finds a fleeting opening when King Vegeta strikes Zarbon with a distraction blast from afar, allowing Bardock to deliver a crushing blow that finally brings the commander down. With Zarbon and Dodoria defeated, full-power Bardock turns his gaze toward the remaining Frieza loyalists. He does not hesitate, ending their lives with swift strikes. He stands over the fallen, his chest heaving, realizing he has executed a massive blow against Frieza's interests. He knows there is no turning back from the path of rebellion now. Suddenly, the silence is broken by Fasha, whose scouter had picked up the immense energy signatures. She stares in disbelief at the carnage. Bardock explains they must leave immediately and instructs the king and prince to board a nearby ship, promising to explain his plan on the journey back to Planet Vegeta. Though Fasha is skeptical and thinks the idea of a rebellion is insane, she chooses to trust Bardock's instincts. Back on the crimson-hued world of Planet Vegeta, Bardock moves with extreme caution. He finds his first and most loyal recruit in his wife, Jean, who shares his concerns. He also reaches out to the rest of his squad, Borgos and Shugesh, hoping their history will bind them to his cause. The group meets in the shadows of the Saiyan capital, whispering of a future where they are no longer pawns. The inevitable catastrophe finally arrives when Frieza issues a formal decree for all Saiyans to return. Bardock recognizes this as the final signal. He tries one last time to spread the word, but most dismiss his warnings. There is no more time for debate, as Frieza's massive flagship looms in the upper atmosphere. In the chaotic frenzy, Bardock's small group of rebels manages to launch their own ships in the opposite direction. Bardock, Jean, Tora, Fasha, and the Royals are split into several pre-programmed pods to avoid detection. He watches the familiar red landscape of his home shrink away, replaced by the cold, black void of space. A sudden alarm blares in Bardock's pod as he witnesses a terrifying mishap. The ship carrying his youngest son, Kakarot, has veered off its intended course. He watches helplessly as the small pod is propelled toward a distant, unknown destination. Jine's voice crackles over the comms, filled with maternal anguish, but there is nothing they can do. From the silence of space, the rebels watch in horrified awe as a massive sphere of energy, the supernova, descends upon planet Vegeta. The planet is decimated in an instant, reduced to a cloud of glittering stardust. Bardock is momentarily crushed by the weight of the loss, but Jean reminds him that they have already succeeded by surviving. The group establishes a temporary hidden base on a remote world, where they spend months in grueling training. Bardock focuses on increasing his power to 25,000, while Tora and the squad reach 20,000 each. Even Jean and King Vegeta dedicate themselves to combat, their power levels climbing toward 10,000. They know they are not yet a match for Frieza, but their growth is a testament to their will. Once strong enough, Bardock sets a course for the planet where Kakarot's pod landed, Earth. They arrive to find the young Saiyan has been taken in by a kind, elderly martial artist named Grandpa Gohan. As they approach, the ground begins to shake, causing Gohan to accidentally lose his grip on the child. Bardock rockets forward with incredible speed, catching Kakarot in the nick of time and presenting him to a stunned Grandpa Gohan. The old man is amazed to learn of the vast space empire and the rebellion, and he offers Earth as a sanctuary. Bardock appreciates the hospitality, realizing Earth could serve as an excellent base of operations. Far across the galaxy, Frieza sits on his throne, plagued by a strange, growing anxiety that his victory was not as complete as he believed. Deep within the cramped, dimly lit confines of their temporary starship, Bardock, Jean, and Tora huddle over flickering holographic displays. The air is thick with the scent of recycled oxygen, as they weigh the desperate urge to rescue the young Prince Vegeta against the cold reality of Frieza's military might. Every instinct screams for them to strike, yet Bardock knows a premature assault would only draw Frieza's lethal gaze toward the few Saiyans left. They must remain ghosts in the machine, operating beneath the radar until their strength matches their ambition. To secure their future, the group identifies a desolate, life-starved rock drifting on the outskirts of the galaxy. This uninhabited world is a grim landscape of jagged craters, yet its barrenness offers a perfect sanctuary that Frieza's scouts would never investigate. It sits in the shadow of the fallen world they once called home, providing a hidden stage where the remnants of a warrior race can rebuild. Here, the foundation of a new Saiyan civilization begins to take shape. As the settlement grows, the rebels turn their thoughts toward recruitment. Bardock identifies Nappa and Raditz, who were on a remote mission during the planet's destruction, and manages to intercept them before they return to Frieza. The realization settles in that they must rely on their own potential. Earth is considered and discarded for now. While its inhabitants possess strange energy signatures, their power levels seem laughably low. In the clearing near the new settlement, the stern Namekian Piccolo, who had been wandering the stars after a separate exodus, begins the rigorous task of training the young Raditz, helping the boy harness the discipline he lacks. This was not the reincarnated Piccolo known in later legends, nor the tyrant who would one day terrorize Earth. This was the original Namekian himself, the being who had not yet split his soul into Kami and the Demon King. Kakarot, always eager for a challenge, jumps into the fray to test his own growing power. The environment is one of focus, with the sounds of colliding fists echoing off canyon walls. Piccolo's sharp, technical style provides a contrast to Kakarot's raw, instinctive maneuvers. A bond of rivalry soon blossoms between Kakarot and Raditz, marking a brotherhood defined by combat rather than bitterness. Unlike the enmity they held in another timeline, here they are comrades united by shared loss. They vow to ascend to new heights together, their training sessions becoming high-stakes duels. This competitive spirit drives them both forward, ensuring that the next generation of the rebellion will be formidable. Bardock begins scouring old military frequencies for any trace of other survivors. He discovers an automated distress signal from a ship that crashed years ago on a hostile world called Planet Vampa. Realizing the potential of finding more kin, Bardock leads a team consisting of Gine and Tora to investigate. They leave the safety of their base, propelled by the hope that more warriors might still be breathing in the dark reaches of space. The trio arrives on Planet Vampa, a hellish world of torrential storms and gargantuan predatory insects. The atmosphere is oppressive, and survival seems like a daily miracle. As they descend, Bardock experiences a strange, tingling sensation in his mind, the early awakening of the ability to sense life force. His scouter suddenly erupts in a frantic series of beeps, signaling they are not alone. Out of the shadows of a rusted Saiyan vessel, Paragus and his son Broly emerge. Years of isolation have turned Paragus into a paranoid shell, and he views the newcomers as assassins. Before Bardock can utter a word of peace, the two Vampa survivors launch a ferocious assault. The rebellion's leaders find themselves forced into a defensive struggle against their own kind. Bardock, Jean, and Tora power up to meet the threat, handling the aging Paragus with relative ease. However, the true danger lies in the child, Broly, whose raw power level fluctuates with a terrifying intensity. Even as a young boy, Broly possesses an aura that shakes the very ground. The fight becomes a chaotic blur of motion as the rebels try to contain a force of nature they barely understand. As the battle escalates, Broly begins to lose himself to primal rage. Bardock quickly realizes that creating an artificial moon would be a fatal mistake, as it would likely trigger a great ape transformation in the unstable child that none of them could control. They are forced to fight with surgical precision, using their superior numbers to outmaneuver the enraged boy before his power can swell beyond their reach. They finally manage to restrain him, though the cost in stamina is immense. Just as the conflict reaches its tipping point, Paragus reaches for a remote and activates a brutal shock collar around Broly's neck. The boy collapses in convulsions, his energy signature snuffed out. Bardock and Jean are struck with revulsion, horrified that a father would use such a method. Paragus prepares to launch an artificial moon of his own to end the fight, but Bardock demands he listen to the truth. Bardock explains the total annihilation of Planet Vegeta and the treachery of Frieza. He speaks of the rebellion and the strength they have gathered, offering Paragus a choice: stay on this rotting world and die, or join a cause that can avenge their race. Paragus, seeing the undeniable power of the warriors before him, reluctantly agrees to stand down. He realizes Frieza is the true architect of his misery. The group returns to their hidden base, with Paragus and Broly in tow. Broly's presence is a source of both wonder and concern. His potential seems limitless, but his control is non-existent. Bardock assigns the veterans to help train the boy, while Paragus remains a prickly ally. Despite the internal friction, the settlement continues to evolve, turning from a mere hideout into a thriving civilization. Years pass in a blur of growth, with a young trio of Kakarot, Raditz, and Broly maturing into warriors under the tutelage of their elders. The planet is now a hub of resistance, where Saiyans and the lone Namekian Piccolo work in tandem. Bardock and Jean remain the heart of the movement, their focus entirely on the war effort, eyes fixed on the stars. Finally, Piccolo decides that the time has come to reveal a secret he has kept guarded: the existence of the Dragon Balls on his distant homeworld of Namek. He admits his initial lack of trust, but confesses their dedication to justice has earned his confidence. The small mystical orbs represent a power capable of granting nearly any wish. Bardock listens with a grim expression, realizing these artifacts could be their salvation or their destruction. The leaders debate the merits of wishing for immortality, but Bardock rejects the path as too dangerous. He fears such power would corrupt the core of their rebellion. Instead, they decide to keep the knowledge of the Dragon Balls as a strategic reserve, a safety net to be used only in dire circumstances. This decision solidifies the bond of trust between Piccolo and the Saiyans. The peace of their sanctuary is briefly shattered when the brute Nappa, still struggling with his temperament, accidentally triggers a defensive perimeter test. The battle is swift, as Bardock, Jean, and Tora leave their base forms to become Great Apes. Great Ape Bardock and his companions loom over the landscape, the shadows engulfing the area. Great Ape Jean delivers a blow that levels a nearby ridge, testing their coordination. The warriors eventually return to their original shapes, their confidence bolstered. However, the flare-ups of energy do not go unnoticed. A scouting ship belonging to the elite Ginyu Force happens to be passing through the sector and picks up a massive spike in power. Captain Ginyu, intrigued by the anomaly, redirects his fleet toward the hidden world. He contacts his squad, Raccoon, Birder, Jeese, and Goldo, ordering them to converge. The rebellion's period of anonymity has ended, and their first true test against Frieza's finest is about to begin.